Some years ago, when I was stationed at St. Joseph's Seminary in Princeton, New Jersey, it was a Saturday night, and I was having dinner with my confreres, and we started to talk about what we were going to preach about the next day, on Sunday. And one of the confreres asked me what I was going to preach about. But before I was able to answer, another confrere said, "He's probably going to talk about suffering. Charlie always preaches about suffering." Hey, folks, you want to know something? He was right. I preach a lot about suffering because I believe there's a lot of suffering in our world. There's a lot of suffering in our life. So guess what the topic of my talk today is going to be? Suffering. I can tell you that Mary, our Blessed Mother, was no stranger to suffering. As we know, early in her life, Simeon foretold that she would suffer greatly, that a sword of sorrow would pierce her heart. And he was right. Yes, Mary knew what it was like to suffer. And I don't think I have to tell you that we, the children of Mary, also know what it is like to suffer. The late Archbishop Fulton J. Sheen used to tell the story about a boy who went to the corner grocery store and wanted to buy a certain detergent. And he picked up the box and he went over to the clerk and he told the clerk he wanted to wash his dog. And the clerk said, "Well, son, this is a heavy-duty detergent. It's pretty strong for washing a dog." And the boy said, "Well, that's the detergent I want." And the clerk sold the boy the detergent and said, "Now, son, be very careful. This is a strong detergent. It could kill your dog." About a week later, the boy came back to the store, and the clerk said, "Well, how's your dog?" And the boy said, "I'm afraid he's dead." And the clerk said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, but I did warn you about that detergent." And the little boy shook his head and said, "I don't think it was the detergent that did it. I think it was the rinse cycle on the washing machine that killed him." Gotta tell you, folks, Bishop Sheen, with that nutty little story, did have a point. You know what he said? He said that there are times when we feel like life has put us through the rinse cycle. We have been tossed about, turned, and drenched with concerns and worries, overcome with stress and anxieties. We are overcome by suffering. We have family problems, problems at work or school. A loved one is diagnosed with terminal cancer. We get sick. A loved one dies. But now, folks, the question is, what are we supposed to do when bad things are happening to us in our life? Excuse me. A woman tells this story, which truly is one of my favorites. She says that she's usually never afraid to fly in an airplane. But she said one time in the evening at night, she had to go into one of those little computer flights, you know, with a little small plane. And she said it was a terrible night. It was raining heavily, there was lightning, and there was thunder, and she was very afraid. And she said when she was on the plane, they were on the tarmac, all of a sudden, the captain made an announcement saying that one of the indicator lights, warning indicator lights, was blinking. So they had to go back to the hangar to get another airplane. And now she said she was in that plane on the tarmac, and she was terrified. She said she remembered something the professor in psychology class said when she was in college, that when we are very stressful and anxious, the best thing to do is start a conversation to decrease that stress. So she turned to the person next to her and she said, now, what do you do for a living? And he said, I'm an undertaker. Folks, I am here this morning to tell you to reduce stress and anxiety, it is good to start a conversation with someone, but not necessarily to the person sitting next to us on an airplane, but to Mary, our Blessed Mother. I don't have to tell you that Mary is a mother who loves us, cares for us, a mother who wants to help us and comfort us when we are suffering. They tell the story of a woman who was afflicted with a very bad cold, and nothing the doctor prescribed seemed to give her any relief. So she said, "Doctor, can't you do anything to cure me?" And the doctor said, "Well, I do have a suggestion. Go home and take a hot shower. Then, before drying yourself off, stand before a cold draft." Well, the skeptical woman asked, "Will that cure me?" The doctor said, "No, but that will give you pneumonia, and that I can cure." You want to know something, folks? So many people come to me with their tears and heartaches, their sufferings, their crosses. I cannot cure them. I cannot take away their crosses or their sufferings. What I can do is to say to them what I say to you. Take your cares to our Blessed Mother and her Son, and place your full trust in them. They are the ones who will reach out and touch your life. They are the ones who will reach out and cure you, so to speak. They are the ones who will fill your troubled hearts with peace. A quarterback and Heisman Trophy winner from the University of Michigan many years ago was a man named Tom Harmon. He became a pilot during World War II. And one day his plane crashed in a very dense jungle, and his chances of survival were nil, and he knew it. However, Tom Harmon did escape. And when the newspaper reporters asked Tom how he accounted for his miraculous survival, he surprised them by saying, "It was prayer." He said, "I said at least 1,000,000 Hail Marys during my trek out. In fact," he said, "as I walked through the jungle trying to find my way out, I used to yell out Hail Marys at the top of my voice, hoping that someone would hear me hollering." And he added, "Without great faith, I would not have gotten out of that jungle. I trusted that our Blessed Mother would get me home safely." I want to tell you that Tom Harmon is not alone in his trust in Mary and in his faith in the power of prayer. He has at least one person along with him, and that's me. On a personal note, I was introduced to our Blessed Mother by my natural mother. My mom had a wonderful devotion to Mary. I would like to think that her love and devotion to Mary rubbed off somewhat on me. I have my share of sufferings, I really do. And during those difficult times, I can always feel the presence of our Blessed Mother. She is always with me. She is with me now. She has always been with me, and I trust she always will. I leave you with this thought. When I was a little boy many moons ago, there was a rhyme that we would say in the evening when it started to get dark. As soon as it was dark, we would look up to the sky and look for the first star in the sky. And what would we say? Starlight, star bright, the first star I see tonight. I wish I may, I wish I might, have the wish I wish tonight. And after we said that, what did we do? We made a wish for something we wanted to have. Now, folks, when we wish upon a star, we have no reason to expect that our wishes will come true. That is, unless the star we are talking about is Mary, our Blessed Mother. Because one of her beautiful titles or names is Star of the Sea. And when we wish upon Mary, we may not get exactly what we wished for, but one thing is certain: we will get everything we need to experience peace of mind and heart. As we continue, I want to tell you my fondest wish right now is that our Blessed Mother and her Son Jesus will fill the hearts of all you good people with peace, especially those of you who are suffering in any way.